What's going on, people? It's your boy Ricardo and welcome back to my YouTube channel and the Chasing Monsters January episode. In this month's episode then, you're looking for a 13 letter keyword. I don't have enough fingers. 10 plus 3, 13 letters that will pop up on screen across the course of this video. The rules are simple. The first person to put the correct keyword in my YouTube comment section will win the following. Let's crack on with the video. Yes people, welcome to Chasing Monsters, a Park Lake fishing series brought to you by me, Ricardo, from Backonthebank. Now I hope you enjoy this series with content dropping on a monthly basis. Watch myself and the lads pursue a number of monstrous carp, a lake that's certainly not for the faint-hearted. We'll fish, we'll blank, we'll certainly persevere though, and who knows, there might even be a few PBs broken along the way. So here's to the current episode, we hope you enjoy it. Stick a comment down below if you do and be sure to subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, sit back, relax, get your kettles on and keep your eyes peeled for that next Park Lake monster. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Certainly need that this morning, that's for sure. What's going on? It's your boy Ricardo and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Backonthebank, and the Chasing Monsters January episode. First off, Happy New Year. I hope you had a decent Christmas, well, as decent as it possibly could be. Very frustrating year for everyone, but hopefully you stuck to the guidelines, and if you are fishing, you're sticking to those guidelines as well. Hold on a minute, sorry, I've just realised. Let me get them out my ears. Right, so first off, big shout out to my sister for purchasing me the AirPods for a Christmas present. These things have not left my ears for the last 2 weeks, I'd say. They're so comfortable. I always forget they're in my ears most of the time. Mrs is shouting at me and stuff a lot because they're soundproof as well. But yeah, just want to say thanks to her for buying me these because they are wicked. But I need to take them out so I can tune in with you guys. So let me just put them away quick. Yeah, lovely little case as well that they come with, which is nice. But yeah, I never considered even purchasing these myself because A, they're quite expensive, and B, I've got another set of studio headphones that I normally use when I'm doing my edits and stuff, but these are perfect for when I'm on the go. So yeah, enough about the headphones. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Chasing Monsters January, you're sitting in your garden for Christ's sake, what's going on? Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I haven't actually been out fishing over the Park Lake this month, and the main reason for that is because of the new restrictions that have been put in place. Obviously, where I live, we're in Tier 5, and I believe that most of the country are in Tier 5 now. So yeah, it just makes it rather difficult to go out and film sessions on this particular series because I tend to like to do sort of 24, 48 hour sessions, and yeah, just can't do that at the moment. So I thought, what better time is there for me to set up the next episode in a fashion where I do a bit of a recap on the previous episodes to this series. So as far as I'm aware, we started it in June last year, so we're at the 8th episode now, this one being the 8th. So I thought, lovely idea, let's just recap and test my memory, albeit it's not great these days, but yeah, test my memory as much as possible to just have a chat about what's occurred, because there's certainly been a lot of stuff, ups and downs, that have gone on since June of last year. So yeah, bit of a recap I think. Just wet the old palette. It's rather cold this morning, so I feel like my mouth's going to dry up quite a bit, so bear with me. So June then, let's flash back. So as far as I remember, I purchased my first Park Lake ticket for the front lake on the Chase at the end of May. So as you can imagine, I was itching to get out, and the restrictions had been dropped slightly, so we was able to go out and fish. So I got myself out, got all my gear together, didn't take any camera equipment on this particular session. Don't ask me why, but I just didn't. I just really wanted to get out and get my rods in the water. And yeah, what happened was I managed to nick a fish on my first session of being a Park Lake member. Now I don't know whether that was coincidence or not, but it seemed like prior to me actually purchasing a ticket, I just couldn't catch one. So yeah, anyway, got the ticket, had a fish. It was a 29.4 common, which I was over the moon with. It's interesting actually about that fish because I remember it clear as day. Leon come down to the lake to do some photographs for me that morning because I was on my own, and Leon was actually planning to fish next to me for a night as well on that particular session. So what I'd done is I'd put one of my Ridge Monkey water canisters into the swim next door to me because he was going to jump next door. Anyway, he's got down, we've done the shots of the fish, and obviously we're in our own world. I'm absolutely buzzing because I've just beaten my PB. And yeah, unfortunately, my Ridge Monkey canister got stolen by someone. If you're watching the video, you're an absolute melt, but yeah, left the Ridge Monkey canister unattended for about an hour whilst we done the shots and that, got the fish back, and then I remember Leon walking off after we'd sort of tidied up and that and said, I'm going to set my stuff up, and he said, did you actually bucket the swim for me? And I was like, yeah, I've done it about an hour ago, and yeah, the canister was gone. So anyway, had to replace that, and that's the joys of fishing park lakes. Unfortunately, you've got to be on your gear at all times, and security is very limited. So yeah, had that fish, and do you know what, I don't think I've done this just yet, so I'm going to do it now. I should say a massive thank you to everyone that come over and celebrated that new PB with me. I remember my swim being like a supermarket. There were people in and out of it all day long, like coming over to congratulate me. I had a couple of beers with a few people. Yeah, it was a buzzing day, and I was just rushing with adrenaline for that whole day. It was mad. So that happened, and then I think Josh come over to see me the next morning. I still had another night in me on that particular session, but Josh said to me, Rick, why don't you sort of like think about doing a monthly series on the front lake? And I was like, do you know what, mate, that's actually a pretty decent sort of idea. So after much conversation, few teas, few beers, I decided to do it, and thank God that I did, because we're here now, 7 episodes in, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos. But anyway, so charged up all my camera batteries, as you can imagine, got all my memory cards cleared, got my tripod together, got my microphone together, like literally got everything into my camera bag. And I thought, right, from now on, considering I missed filming the first fish that I'd landed, I thought from now on I need to film everything on this lake. Every single session that I do, I'm going to document it so that I can refer back to it. And yeah, so that's what's happened. So June, I think I managed to get 2 more sessions in June actually. It was quite productive. Second session, didn't have much, went back, done a 3rd session at the end of the month. Now the day before I'd done the 3rd session, I went over to the lake, and it was a bright sunny day, and I decided to use a bit of technology to my advantage. So I went for a little walk around the lake, and I took the drone with me. I sent her up and just had a little zing around to see if I could see any fish on the surface, because it was mega warm and the fish were in the upper layers. So yeah, located the fish, and I said to myself, right, if I come out early in the draw, this is the swim that I'm going to pick, because I'd seen them sort of basking in that particular area the night before. And so be it, I come out at the beginning of the draw. The previous draw, which was the first session that I'd done as a member, I come out last, and I ended up having to deal with a swim that I'd never fished before, and I managed to have the 29-pound common. So yeah, it was all swings and roundabouts, but that second draw went in my favour a bit more. I picked the swim that I'd done the sort of research on, and yeah, jumped in there for a few nights. First night I recall being a blank. Woke up the next morning, and actually I think it was a Saturday, that particular session, and I had to go and football training. So just before I had to leave for football training, like somebody else was fishing next door to me, and they said they'd look after my gear whilst I was away. I think I went training for a few hours, but prior to that happening, me right rod tore off on the spot that I decided to fish on from the research that I'd done the night before. So yeah, it was cracking. I managed to land a 25-pound common, and it was a lovely fish. It had a 2-toned head. It was a proper nice older looking sort of common. I'll show you it now. Really lovely fish. And yeah, I was just really pleased that the work I'd done prior had paid off. So little tip for anybody, I'm not saying go out and buy a drone, but have your eyes on the water as much as you can. Try and locate the fish and make decisions based on that, because I see a lot of people just jumping into swims, pitching up for say 2 or 3 nights and not even considering a move. At the moment, obviously on the front lake, it's really busy, so it has been quite difficult to have a second option and go into another swim if you see fish. But even still, go around the lake a couple of times. If there's a few swims free, see if you can find the fish first before you decide on where you're going to fish, because it's mega important, as that research proves. So yeah, that was June. So yeah, good month to be fair. And in between me having the 29 and the 25, I actually beat my PB again at a lake in Kent. Now I've put a video up on that, you can check it out. The lake's called Stour Valley, and I managed to have a 34-pound-10 mirror. It was actually a linear, and unfortunately the fish is no longer with us, so rest in peace to that fish. I feel mega lucky to have had her. But yeah, it was a really good month for me in June. So yeah, beat me PB twice in 2 weeks, rushing with adrenaline, and just wanted to be fishing all the time. Kept saying to me missus, like, I want to go fishing, I want to go fishing. And she was really getting frustrated with me because she weren't really doing much with the lockdown being in place. Luckily enough for us anglers, we was able to go out and fish, but for other people, they weren't able to go out and do other things. So I totally understood her frustration, but that weren't going to stop me from going because I really needed to be on the bank. So July, well, where do I start with July? Jesus. Certainly need to wet the mouth for July, but right, I'll tell you what, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. So first thing I should do is congratulate Bankside Living, Connor, my mate and my fishing pal. He had an absolutely cracking month in July, and I had a nice month in July as well, but I'm going to talk about Connor's situation first because what actually happened was, beginning of July, I remember going around the lake at the beginning of the month to catch up with my pal Snedden, who you have also seen feature in some of these videos. Now Snedden had a little bit of airtime. I've done a little bit of interview piece with him, which if you haven't seen, you can go back to the July episode and watch, but I'll put a little clip in now so you can have a little look at it. But yeah, I was with him at the lake at the time, and to my knowledge, I do not even recall Connor being on the lake. So anyway, I've gone there. We've shot the interview piece and that, and some fella flies around the lake on a push bike, and I can hear him shouting Snedden's name, and I'm like, who's this guy? Anyway, so this guy happened to be with Connor on the other side of the lake, and as I said, I had no idea Connor was at the lake. So the guy's flown round to tell Snedden that Connor has landed a fish. We'd finished filming, I'd got the equipment all packed up. I said to the geezer, mate, can I borrow your bike quick to go around there and film it and get some photos for him? And he was like, yeah, no worries, I'll walk back round. So I've flown back round there on this fella's bike, thanks by the way, flown back round there with the camera equipment, and well, the rest was just adrenaline 5,000 to be fair. I've got in the swim, and he's got one in the net. Now this footage is some of the best footage I've ever filmed, I think, and the main reason is because everybody was there. Like, I think at one point Connor must have had about 10 people behind his swim watching him. He must have felt like a pro angler for a good 20 minutes to be fair. He had a cameraman, being myself, filming him with his new PB of 38-pound-6, moon scale she goes by the name of, an absolute beauty of a carp. Older fish, might touch 40 pound at the right time of the year, but what a carp to see. I've got to admit, that particular fish gave me a serious rush of adrenaline, and I didn't even catch it. It actually gave me more of a rush than when I caught my first common, the 29-pound-4, at the beginning of June. Now it sounds mental, but it was just the whole situation of us all being there to witness it. So yeah, it was just insane, man. And there were a few other people that I know from the lake and away from the lake that were there to witness Connor land that fish. So he must be absolutely buzzing, and I'm just so glad that we managed to capture that footage. So yeah, Connor had that. He went on to have a few more fish as well at the beginning of July. And based on that adrenaline rush, as you can imagine, I wanted to get out and fish again myself. So I believe it was the night after he had moon scale, I decided to do a short session. I think it was 2 nights. The swim that I had the 29 common from was free again, which was the Cherries 2. So I've jumped back in that swim. As you can imagine, when you have a bit of joy on a particular area, 9 times out of 10 you're going to go back into that area if it's available, unless something drastic happens. And it didn't, and the swim was available. So I've jumped in there. A fella jumps in next to me about 6 to 8 hours after I'd arrived. I didn't know him, like we got to know each other. He had a couple as well. Done a couple of pictures for him as well. This particular session was mad because the fella next to me, we was having a chat, and we'd seen a number of fish like show themselves in the area that we were fishing, and I hadn't had any joy. He'd landed 2 that morning. I had 1 night left, and I said to him, do you know what, like, I've seen fish show just to the left of me about 2 swims up, and the swim's free. I'm considering a move, and in any other circumstance I think I would have moved, but the guy basically persuaded me to not move. He was like, no, Rick, honestly, I reckon you'll have one if you stay here. They've been showing like mad, and I'm quite surprised that you haven't had one yet. Stay in the swim and just keep doing what you're doing. I reckon you're going to nick one. And let me tell you, I was that close to ignoring his advice and moving, as most people probably would have done after seeing other fish show just up the bank. But for some reason, I decided to listen to him, and I'm so glad I did, because the next morning, so the last night that I'd done, the next morning, I managed to land myself a 32-pound mirror, which goes by the name of the broken rib mirror. Probably a fish that's been in that lake since it was built, I'd say. It's been in there for a long time. Now this fish is insane. One side of it, pretty mint condition, like unreal. Flip her around, there is a massive crack in her rib, which is so obvious, it's mad. And at the time I was thinking, Jesus, she must have had like a bit of a rubbish sort of life being in this lake, like getting sort of caught up in snags, maybe getting attacked by the bird life. I didn't really know like what had happened to her. I think someone actually commented on one of my videos saying that it was a hereditary sort of thing, but I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that I managed to land that fish and I was absolutely buzzing. Now, managed to get some good footage. Must shout out the boys, Josh and Stedham, for coming over yet again that night. I think I landed the fish about 6 in the morning, and they happened to be up doing God knows what, but they come over to the lake proper early to help me out with the shots and stuff, so I want to say thanks to them. But yeah, £32, 10 I believe it was, absolutely mega carp, and I'm really pleased that I managed that one. So yeah, July all in all was insane. Now August, well, if you look at June and July as being up here with adrenaline, August for me was down here, out of shot pretty much, because we went and done a sort of social distanced social on Stour Valley again after the joy that I'd had on the previous session. A few of us were buzzing to go back there because the lake holds some really nice fish. So we went back there. For me, it was a 4-night blank. Now at the particular time, I weren't too fussed about it because I'd had such a great July. So I'm sitting there 4 days, didn't have a bleat pretty much. A couple of the other lads had some joy. There were a few fish that come out and I was happy that they did. And I was more happy that Josh managed to get off of his blanking spell, because prior to August, Josh was struggling quite a lot, to be fair. So yeah, Josh managed to nick a couple of fish there. Got a bit of footage of some of the carp for Josh and Leon and Ben, one of our other pals that come with us on that particular session. But yeah, I myself didn't have much joy there. So yeah, come back to the park lake with me sort of tail between me legs a little bit, but I thought, no, do you know what, let's just crack on. I stuck to my guns, applied the same approach to what I'd done in the previous months, and unfortunately I didn't manage to nick anything in August. September, however, bit of a turn of events again. Now September was interesting because September was when it was starting to cool down a bit. There were a lot less bugs in the air, which I really appreciated. Didn't have to apply the gnat spray as much. And the temperature was starting to drop, like the sunsets were starting to look a lot cooler. There was starting to be like a bit like mist and stuff on the water in the mornings. It was just really, really sort of cinematic. Went a little bit slow for me, and I thought, please, it's not going to be another month blank, is it? And anyway, I managed to get a session in, and it happened to be the last session of the month, and I was in the single winters for that particular session. And I remember filming on my last night of that last session, and I thought, it's a peak month for me. Like, I can't have a 2-month blank pretty much, can I? Went to bed, got woken up at like 1 in the morning by a £25 mirror. Now, the footage from that was again absolutely buzzing to get the footage from that, because as you can imagine, off of the rush from the previous months, I was just craving the adrenaline. Like, adrenaline is a drug, do you know what I mean? It's just something that you always want, and to nick that fish right at the dead, I was buzzing my head off. £25 mirror, it had one of its scales missing actually, and I actually decided to call it the lipstick mirror myself, because I don't think any of the other lads have had it. and yeah, I just named it myself. So if I ever have it again, I would sort of know which fish it is by the name and by its distinct features. But yeah, September was saved by the bell, should we say. Managed to nick one. Now, don't sound great, but the lake that I'm fishing, people can relate that it's not the easiest water in the world. So even if you have one fish in a month, you're buzzing your head off. And that's what happened. Now, going from September into October, it was funny really, because I was noting down like every session that I'd done, and it was like getting into a bit of a pattern where I'd go and do a session, I'd have a fish. I'd go and do the second session, I'd blank. I'd go and do a session, I'd have one. And bar August, obviously, where it was just a complete blank, that was the sort of scenario that was happening. I remember getting to the lake on a Friday night, because I had work, put a massive amount of effort to get myself over there, like on a Friday after finishing work. The lake was busy, but again, the swim that I'd had joy in just happened to be free. People just didn't really want to fish it, like for whatever reason, I don't know. And they'd even seen the footage from my videos, like going out, like of having fish in there. So I was shocked to see that that particular swim was free again. Lockdown and stuff, just so much pressure on the front lake, and we'll talk a little bit about that pressure in a bit as well. But yeah, got in the swim, applied me baits. I think I actually flicked singles out that particular night, and the baits had been in for about 3 hours. And I managed to catch another one. I think it was touching midnight when my rod like shot off. And yeah, managed to land another 25-pound mirror, which again was a lovely fish. Yeah, Josh was on the other side of the lake fishing as well. He was in the double winters. Yeah, I remember it now. Him and Steddon were fishing on the other side of the lake. Josh come round to help me with some pictures. And during the photographs, he got a call from Leon, who was fishing his syndicate, to say that he'd had one as well, and he'd had a decent fish. So Sneddon looked after his gear. Like, it was like middle of the night. He left the lake and shot to Leon's syndicate to help him out with his photographs and then come back. So yeah, it was a pretty buzzing evening. And for Josh's efforts, he come back, and I think at 4 in the morning, he'd had his rods in a couple of hours. He managed to nick a couple of fish himself. So yeah, all in all, it was a cracking session going into October, beginning of October. So yeah, I had that 25-pound mirror. Going through the rest of the month for October, I thought, can we continue on this run of form? Because, as I said, from June to October, I'd nicked 4 fish, and I thought, oh yeah, this is decent, man. Like, for my first sort of season on this front lake as a member, I know I'd done sessions prior, but for my first season on this lake as a member, I'm not too upset, to be fair. Like, I'm actually quite buzzing that I've managed 4 to 32-pound-10 as well, so not small fish. But yeah, unfortunately, the rest of October was a blank. Went into November, and temperature had really dropped in November, so the wrap come out, the clothing changed slightly, the bottoms were put on, like the jumper and the jacket were put on. One of the good things about filming fishing videos is that you get to see like seasonal changes like across the year. So I went from fishing in the summer and watching like the wildlife, the bird life, like even the trees like change sort of slowly into the winter months, like, and it's nice to be out in those particular months. Like, so I recommend people to get out more like in the colder months, just because it's nice being out with nature. Like, I personally use it as a method of escape, like from a busy life. I use it to relieve stress, and I think the Angling Trust deserve a shout out at this particular moment, because they've really supported anglers through this pandemic. And I think if it wasn't for them, there'd be a lot of people in a pretty bad place. So thank you very much for pushing the government to see that fishing is needed, because I believe that it truly is needed. We're out in the wild, we're away from people most of the time, so don't really see much risk like associated with the sort of virus and stuff, being out fishing on your own. And the Angling Trust and the government have realised that, so I must thank them for that. But without going off topic too much, November was another blank for me. And although, as I said, I really enjoyed being out, it would have been nice to have maybe nicked one. But as I said, and I am now referring to, the pressure on the lake throughout the summer And even today, like there's people fishing now. I've actually, funnily enough, just went for a walk around the lake this morning, and there's people fishing now on the lake, and that is with the new sort of restrictions in place of fishing days only. So the lake has just received an incredible amount of pressure. I'm not saying that I haven't contributed to some of that pressure, because I have, but it has seen so much bait like over the last 6 months, and I actually think it's one of the main reasons why the lake has completely switched off, really. Like there's been a couple of carp coming out here and there, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this particular front lake has switched off a lot earlier than normal, and I do blame the fact that there's been so much bait put into the lake for that, because the fish have been able to stock up earlier. If you think about it, bait going in from, say, like May, when everyone was able to go out and fish again, like at an exceptional rate. Like I've seen and heard people putting in like silly amounts of bait in that front lake, and I myself have actually done the opposite, to be fair, and had joy. Like I don't fish on heavy bait. Like I'm not saying it isn't the right method, like, but I think on the front lake based on the fact that everybody else is putting bait in, I don't feel like I need to do that. So I've been fishing light personally over there. I think I might have fished one session on a sort of on a bigger bed of bait, but most of my sessions over there have been on a lighter approach, like no more than like 3 or 4 spoms full of boilie if I'm fishing like whole and crushed boilie or whatever I'm using. Really haven't fished heavy. So yeah, I just feel like the lake has received a ton of pressure, and I think it's one of the reasons why the fish have stocked up early and gone into their winter state maybe in October, as opposed to going into it maybe like middle of November when they normally sort of do. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, is what it is. We deal with it. November was tough, but I went through it, and we went into December. December again, just even colder, and as you probably know, if you're fishing December and January, like through these colder months, you know how much effort is required to get out on the bank. Now, if you add on to that the fact that I'm filming, taking a camera equipment, having to get out like of my bed like at silly o'clock to film shots and produce content for you guys, the effort and the commitment is mad. Like, and on top of that, obviously there's the post-production stuff, which is all of the like the editing like and stuff, which takes a long time. Like people probably don't realise that it does take a lot of time out of my day. I'd say on average to get one of these videos like filmed and edited, it takes about between 15 and 20 hours, which is like nearly two days work, do you know what I mean, for like most people. So yeah, it's a lot of commitment, but I love doing it, and I'm really pleased that I've managed to stay consistent with it. That's one thing that I said to myself at the beginning of doing this series, is that I really wanted to stay consistent with this particular project, because it's quite easy to switch off and become not bothered about taking like videos and like documenting everything. But I feel like I've done a pretty decent job of keeping you guys up to date so far, and I plan to do that going forward, albeit we're in my garden today for this particular month's footage. Yeah, so December, a sore month again, I'm gonna be honest. Fishing slowed down. I did get out, I put a lot of effort in. I was up during the night at silly o'clock trying to look for carp, like trying to listen for carp. I think one particular session I was the only person on the front lake, which I found absolutely incredible, to be fair, because based on how busy it has been, I remember turning up at the lake. I was actually quite worried, actually. I turned up to the lake on that particular session, and I remember ringing Jacko, the bailiff. Jacko, if you're watching this, you'll remember this. I phoned him and I was like, "You all right, mate? Is the lake closed? Because there's no one here." And he was laughing his head off down the phone, and he said, "Nah, mate, you're just one of the hardcore ones. Nobody else fancies it." But yeah, I remember doing one particular night on that front lake during December where I was on my own, and it was a bit eerie, I have to be honest, because there was no one with me at all on the lake. And you know what it's like when you're fishing park lakes as well. Sometimes it's nice just to know that there's like other people around, you know what I mean, in case things happen. But yeah, on that particular night it was a bit worrying, but got through it. In fact, I think there was a couple of people on the back lake, but I think they was on the other side. So yeah, if anything did happen, I would have had to have made quite a few steps to call for help. But yeah, December, tried a few different things in December. Like I thought, okay, water temperatures dropped like drastically. fish tend to sort of hold up like in the middle of the lake. They probably are in the upper layers, like trying to get as close to the sun like when it does show itself. So I went for a zig approach on a couple of sessions, didn't have any joy, but I thought it was a good idea, and I don't really fish zigs much at all. So yeah, it's bettered my angling skills on the zig front, and I am definitely going to apply that to my summer fishing as well, because I do think that it is a deadly tactic in the right circumstance. But yeah, December didn't really sort of have any joy on the zigs, and I'm not saying I'm going to stop them, definitely going to keep using them. And yeah, December was pretty bleak, apart from, actually, yeah, I don't want to forget this, because this is part of the a part of the series which I have to reference, and also in November. So because of the slower months, I thought to myself, what can I do to keep people engaged on the series? And that would be the giveaways, which I've seen a lot of engagement from people on, so I'm glad I introduced that. So yeah, the November giveaway was cool. That was the sticky baits bundle, which actually went to a young fella called Lewis. Don't know if he's used the bait yet, probably ain't even gotten out and fished. No, I'm only joking, I reckon he has. He looks pretty on the ball, to be fair. Like, after looking at his Instagram and that, he seems pretty keen angler. So yeah, congrats to him. And the December one, I still haven't mentioned the winner, so I think this would be the right time to reference the winner of the December giveaway, which was a cracking giveaway, to be fair. It was nearly 200, actually it was just over £200 worth of prizes, courtesy of myself. So the prizes, to my knowledge, were some of my clothing brand, like from the Capture range, which was a windbreaker jacket, a beanie, a lighter, a coffee mug, and some stickers. And then on top of that, I purchased myself a Ridge Monkey Bivy Light, the elite one with the remote, and then courtesy of Robertson's fishing tackle. So thanks, Sam, for sorting this out. He said to me, I'll tell you what, I'll give you something to add in, because it was the Christmas month being December. So he said to me that you could either have a £50 Robertson's voucher, or you could have one of the new Ridge Monkey quad stoves. So the winner of this particular giveaway has the option of having either a gift card or the Ridge Monkey quad stove as an additional prize on top of the prize bundle that I'm giving away with all the Capture products. So yeah, I suppose without further ado, let's announce the winner then. The winner of the December giveaway is a guy called Robert K. Now Robert K, he was pretty persistent, to be fair. Now if you've seen my giveaways before, the concept is pretty simple. Basically, I come up with a keyword and I put the letters across the screen across the course of my video, and the job for you guys as the viewers is to find those letters and work out what the keyword is, and then the first person to put the keyword in my YouTube comments of that particular video is the winner of the giveaway. So Robert done that. He put about 4 comments and he kept getting the keyword wrong, and then eventually he managed to get it right, and he was still the first person to get it right. So thanks to everybody else that entered. I see a lot of comments on the videos like trying to get the keyword right, and there were a lot of you that also got it right, but Robert was the winner. So Robert, I will reach out to you, mate, next week, and we'll sort that prize for you, mate. I'm going to need to get a pretty big box to put it all in, but that's not a problem. I'll sort that out, and if you could let me know whether you want the gift card or the stove, then I'll get in touch with Robertson's and get that organised and get it all sent out to you, mate. So yeah, please make sure you contact me and let me know what option you want. So after all that, and a very dry mouth and probably a very cold tea, let me confirm that. Yep, that is absolutely horrible. I think we've come to the end of this recap. I think I've covered pretty much everything that's occurred on the channel from a Chasing Monsters perspective. If you haven't seen some of my other videos, make sure you go and check them out. I just want to say thanks to everyone, really, because when I started the channel, I did not anticipate it to be where it is at the moment. I think we're at 1.8k subs, and the viewage on videos is something that I've been mega impressed with, to be honest. All of my videos are like getting over 5,000 views now, which I must thank you all for, because you're the guys that are pressing play and you're the guys that are coming back to my channel when I put these uploads up. So yeah, it's just amazing. Like, the support I've got from everyone so far has been incredible. Thanks to everyone that's invested into Capture, my brand. You can see I'm wearing some of it. Small little plug there, I guess, but no, I just want to say thanks to everyone that's believed in what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to set this brand up like as much as I can. Like, I've got a 5-year goal with it, and so far the support has been unreal. So if you're out on the bank at the moment wearing any of my stuff, like, thank you so much. Please send in your catch reports wearing my goods. That's something that I haven't mentioned actually previously, and I'd like you guys to start doing that. So if you do have any joy, like, whilst you're out on the bank and you're wearing anything from the Capture range, please make sure you send those reports to me either on Instagram or even email them to me on backonthebank@gmail.com. My email address is always in my video description anyway, so if you need that, then feel free to fire it over. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for showing your support. Thank you for subscribing, and I look forward to this next year of angling. Hopefully this year is better for all of us. We all have more joy on the bank. We all break those PBs more, and yeah, we all get back to a better way of living, hopefully. So until next time, which will be the February episode, tight lines, keep yourself safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Sweet.